No pressure.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. I guess I should say Happy Easter.
Happy.
For those of us who are Easter born. Got today's topic, medicine. The doctor said, well, I got good news and bad news. The good news is you're not a hypochondriac. Like I said, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is, whatever it is, they're named after you. The doctor said, I've got good news and bad news. The patient said, give me the bad news first. The doctor said, well, it turns out we amputated the wrong leg. But the good news is the leg we meant to amputate is doing much better. All right. Welcome. Welcome to this place which we make holy by our presence. These doors are open to all. We welcome diverse ideas of the source of life, diverse needs, diverse abilities. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, where the human is celebrated, where compassion is strength. Welcome to this place. Together, we make it a holy place. Please stand if you are able for hymn 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
And to rejoice and come in, and to rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Open your hearts to the song, open your hearts to the song. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in. And to rejoice and come in, and to rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in.
Our responsive reading today will be number... Okay. Well, thank you. That's a good catch. Yes, the words of chalice lighting are printed inside of the leaf. May the light we now feel inspire us to use our powers even more in our children, trust in our purpose, serve. And our responsive reading will be number 552. Number 552. My health
is in the mountain, where I take myself to heal the earthly wounds that people give to me. The mountain of God sits on high. So I must stay for a long time until I have grown from the rock. Then I know that nothing touches me, nor makes me vulnerable. Time in our service where we share the special joys and sorrows we have been holding inside. Encourage you to take a moment, think about if there is a special hope, or a fear, or an excitement, or an anxiety in this week. We want to share with others.
I wanted to light a candle for Betsy's speedy recovery. She got a new knee last Friday, and hopefully her her recovery is going well. I believe that her son, who lives in California, who's a physical therapist, is staying with her for a little while to get her started on the physical therapy she'll need.
So I brought the pussy willows in honor of Betsy, because every year she always calls me and says, you have to bring pussy willows for Dingus Day. And this year she didn't call me and tell me that, but that's for Betsy.
So after 30 years, I don't believe the letter, but I think I have reached student loan forgiveness. I don't think after 30 years, I don't think I have student loans anymore. And I still owe the same amount I did 30 years ago, no matter how much I paid.
Going to light one more candle for those joys and concerns that we are still carrying inside. And now is the time of the offertory, when we share our gifts for the work of this church. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand. Life, the shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me. Check, 1, 2. All right. I see now that this microphone has been on. Good. And I didn't quite make it through Spirit of Life. And so now I'm wondering, I'm going to make it through this sermon. We'll see. In September, I took my teenage son Jackson to see a local Buffalo rock band called the Goo Goo Dolls. I had not been familiar with this band, but I was really impressed. My inner teenager was happy, and my outer teenager, my son, had the time of his life. One of their songs was called Miracle Pill. And it's hard to describe the experience of a song to somebody else. But there was something deep inside of me that needed to come out. And this song, I've delivered it into the light, like a midwife, like a loud, stomping, snarling midwife. And since then, when I'm feeling really crushed and discarded, I can put on this song really loud, and it gives me a jolt of defiance in the face of defeat. It flexes my muscles. It moves my blood. It straightens my spine. It's chiropractic. The song is called Miracle Pill, and I've used it medicinally. It alters the way I feel in my mind and body. It changes the way I feel about myself. I wouldn't say that this song would necessarily do that for you. I wouldn't prescribe it to everyone here, but I'd like to think that we all have songs like that. Songs that can speed us up or calm us down. Songs that can get us out of a destructive spiral and into a constructive mood. Songs that help us heal. And some of us have pills to do that. Medicine. For many of us, this word conjures the image of an orange pill bottle we got from the people in the long white coats. We go to the pharmacy, we give them our secret code, our birthday, and then we prove that we're adults by engineering the bottle open. The label contains some secret code, like abracadabra or acetaminophen. We have no idea what it means. But we are assured that the chemicals in the pills will enter our bodies, navigate their way to the part that hurts, and fix it. That's medicine. But when I study indigenous cultures, the word medicine means something else. Medicine can mean a walk in the woods, the wave of a feather, a hug, a song and dance. We can consider some of these things medicinal, but you can't put it into a pill bottle. In some cultures, things like tobacco and peyote, which we know to be poisonous, are medicines. And then, of course, there are the plants, the roots of this one, the leaf of that one, a flower boiled in water. Some of these have been bottled and marketed as herbal medicines. Some of them have become our coffee, tea, and soft drinks. Coca-Cola used to contain cocaine, but these days it's mostly just made out of corn. And the medicines we take as pills, the miracle drugs, they don't come from fairy dust and rainbow beams and unicorn breath. They may seem magical, but they come from the earth. For centuries, chemists and then pharmaceutical company researchers have been following tribal shamans and witch doctors around, carefully notating the roots, barks, blossoms, leaves, mosses, and mushrooms that they use to treat tribal communities. Shamanism seems like quaint magic. But let's remember this. Indigenous peoples have the same size brain that we do. And if someone was really just guessing and making up mumbo jumbo, vaguely saying it came from spirit hallucinations, if the stuff didn't work most of the time, these cultures would not have kept returning to their shamans for thousands of years. There was no certificate, no grand council that said you have to keep believing the witch doctor even if their last 9 house calls have all been ineffective nonsense. People only kept going to that doctor because they were repeatedly successful. And if shamanistic medicine worked, it's because it was mostly a memorization of patterns, causalities. If this, then that, the accumulated medical, herbal knowledge of the tribe. We can easily forget this because tribal knowledge is in the public domain. Nobody has a monopoly on its use or proprietary right to hold the knowledge hostage. Our pharmaceutical companies can get rich by copywriting recipes and giving them Greek names. Greek is a language we can trust. It creates the illusion that white people in togas came up with the medicine and not some shirtless witch doctor in the outback. Seneca activist John Mohawk said, "To my knowledge, no one ever found a plant that had a medicinal use that the indigenous people living there didn't know about. You could assume that some of them spent thousands of years experimenting on it. What plant do you use? What part of the plant? When do you harvest the plant? How do you use it? Do you swallow it? Do you rub it on? What do you do with it? Maybe you just dance around it, who knows?" When we disregard the indigenous roots of our chemical medicines, we can also lose sight of the importance of female healers. In Native American communities, a lot of medicine people are women who have passed their childbearing years. Not that they go to night school to start a second career. People just start showing up and saying, "You raised 6 kids, 5 survived. I bet you've seen every kind of sickness there is, and remember what was done about it." In our culture, we may think of medicine as a primarily male practice, but we know from anthropology that this is only a very recent development. Thousands of years before the X-ray, there were women and some men who could look at the outward signs of a body and envision what was going on inside. Long before the ultrasound machine, there were midwives whose hands on a belly could track the development of a fetus. There were people who knew the patterns. When the squirrels do this, it means a cold night ahead. We'd better gather more firewood. When you hear this particular bird song, it means that such and such berry is about to start sprouting over that hill. Dry those out, and they'll cure an upset stomach. The kind of stuff that if we heard a Siberian shaman say it, we would say, "That's so charming." But in Europe, they would say, that's a witch in league with Lucifer. Well, it's not dark magic, it's pattern recognition. I recently encountered a quote. Medicine has always been more an art than a science. I saw this and I just stared at it. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I have a liberal arts degree, but having dissected a poem does not qualify me to cut someone open. The quote has really stuck with me. Medicine has always been more an art than a science. Doctors are people too. They're human like us, drawing hypothetical conclusions from limited data. I become more aware of this as I get older, and I'm married to a doctor who trains other doctors. I recently took my son to an appointment. The doctor said, well, you tried this, it didn't work. You want to try this? I said, whoa, he's 16 years old. Why are you asking for his advice? But our doctors know that there's no such thing as an exact science. That's why we have the most disturbing phrase in the medical profession: second opinion. Hang on there. What about what the other doctor said? You mean the first one was an opinion too? Which one of these opinions is fact? It's like the old joke where the patient says, doctor, I've been to see 3 other specialists and not one of them agrees with your diagnosis or course of treatment. And the doctor said, hey, listen to whoever you want. The autopsy will prove me right. In this last century, scientists have made remarkable progress in proving that emotion is biochemical, that laughter is a mechanical spasm, tears are windshield fluid, and the so-called demons that possessed and plagued our ancestors were just toxic spills and faulty wiring. But then along comes the coronavirus. Our doctors scrambled to diagnose it, identify its molecular structure, and synthesize a vaccine. In those years, we learned a valuable lesson, that science is not strictly a matter of opinion, definitely not a matter of religious or political opinion. But in those 2 years, we also learned a valuable lesson that health is more than chemical. It's also interpersonal. There's more to humanity than can be dissected or atomized and inventoried in test tubes. There's also electricity, magnetism, the things that can't be transmitted through a Zoom meeting. Sitting down with another person in a room, that is medicinal. Even if they don't say anything, even sometimes if the other person doesn't even show up. I'm finally back in therapy for my anxiety and depression. The first thing I looked for in choosing a therapist was someone a mile away from my house, so that each appointment comes with 2 20-minute walks. I spend the walk there carefully choosing a topic and articulating it, mumbling until I've got it precisely crystallized. And then I spend the walk back parsing through those elements that came out more clearly with the therapist's questions. Often I find it's the walks where I make the most progress. Sometimes the therapist doesn't even show up. He's a good guy, but a little bit flighty about announcing cancellations. But I can't complain because I accomplish a lot in a 2-mile walk, and sometimes get home from a cancellation thinking, wow, that would have been a waste of his time. This problem wasn't nearly as big as I imagined when I woke up this morning. And then there are those other appointments that remind me how important it is to have that other person in the room, and to be able to speak openly, honestly, by which I mean whining and belly aching. And then when I've laid out this whole crisis, he'll often say, you know what you need? A good long walk in the sunshine. Sunshine is medicinal. Somehow, solar radiation produces a chemical reaction in human skin that produces vitamin D. We can now synthesize vitamin D and put it in a bottle. But we all know that there's more to a walk in the sunshine than just chemicals. It can also brighten our mood in ways that can't necessarily be measured in a laboratory. Something else that you can't synthesize in a lab and seal up in a bottle. The feeling of walking in here this morning. A warm, safe feeling. Finding sanctuary. Where you don't have to pretend to be competent. That's what you've got me for. And you don't have to wonder if the smile you receive is a professional courtesy for a customer, client, or patient. That feeling is medicinal. And I should warn you, some find it highly addictive. We keep coming back because we walk in here on a Sunday and it makes us feel better about ourselves. And here's something else. You can receive that feeling, but you're also part of that for someone else. This congregation contains no inactive ingredients. We are the medicine. My wife Elizabeth says that church coffee is just water with a little brown in it. And she may be right. Maybe we can make better coffee at home. But I know this, you can't open a can, turn on a machine, and make coffee hour. Thank you. Please stand if you are able for our next hymn.
Love will guide us, peace is taught us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you can, sing like the angels. If you can, speak before thousands. You can live from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace is taught us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights.
Do we have any announcements today?
We have the Easter egg hunt downstairs. I don't have the coffee started yet, so when you go down, I couldn't find eggs big enough. So we have 15 of these boxes with surprises inside. And we have, I think, 11 of these boxes with something inside. I was about 10 of us here. You guys can figure out how you want to do it. There are no rules. You guys can exchange, you can share, you can steal. Whatever you don't want, don't throw away. I'll take it home. And then we can go down if you guys want to find whatever you want. And then we got mimosas if you need. We all need mimosa for Easter. And then I've got some food warming up, and I'll put that out. But you guys can start the Easter egg hunt when we go down.
So I just wanted to remind everybody, April 30th will be the end of our pledge drive, and our theme this year is our 7 principles. And I encourage everybody to look at the 7 principles. I personally have a really, really hard time with the one that we all can say, what is the one principle everybody knows? That we believe the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And I find that's a really, really hard one for me to follow. Intellectually, I can say that, but when somebody cuts me off when I'm driving, when I think about Donald Trump, you know, there are a lot of times in relationships with other people where I have a hard time believing they have inherent worth and dignity. And so I'm just kind of like, I think it would be nice if everybody reads through these and we think about which ones are the ones we can do and which ones can't we do. And then we're going to have some fun with them on the 30th.
I've got an announcement I'm very excited about. A play that I've written is being staged in Buffalo this month. It's opening in about a week and a half on the 20th of April. And the play is called Rust and Redemption. It is about a year ago, the person who runs this theater said to me, I would like for you to write a play about an unsuccessful rock and roll band. And so I did that, but more importantly, it's a story about relationships that have been kind of long broken and neglected, and the question of whether this can be put back together. I believe that the technical details of that are in the monthly announcements, So thank you. And today we're going to have, after the Easter egg hunt and lunch, we're going to have an adult education session. We're going to continue looking at some Native American beliefs about LGBTQ. So I think that'll be really interesting. All right. Together, we have sanctified this space. If you have found strength and comfort here, share some out there. They need it. Remember that you are blessed and you are a blessing, and you are not alone. Please join me for the words of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I feel I should explain myself, and out of no disrespect about what you spoke about today, and since I also studied with Oneida shaman during the 80s for 6 years, was a long time until he passed. Everything through walking through the woods and including dream time. But when I read what you were writing about, the first thing that popped into my head was this. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Doctor, put the lime in the coconut. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, tin tan, wada, wada, bin, ban. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, tin tan, wada, wada, bin, ban.